verse 19 or 20, I feel. So from there we'll be taking, but still before that, what is happening in this Bhagavad Gita in this chapter? We'll just go through it immediately. Okay. Hare Krishna. This is the section which is divided. Um, the first section is acting with detachment, is true renunciation and being brings freedom from reaction. This is the first section of the 18th chapter. Second section is the verse number 13 to 18, the conclusion of Sankhya and Vedanta, actions directed by the super soul, being freedom from the reactions. In this way, discuss about the five factors of any activity, what we do, what are the five factors, the super soul, the soul, the time, the material nature, and what is the fifth one? Karta, uh, and and the work of place, and the work of place. So these five places combined and make an activity. So daiva is like very important, and that is what is discussed here. And all are important, but um, this is what we discuss in this section. Now today the sections what we'll be covering is from C to K. It's a little bit longer, but we'll try to cover it. The entanglement of three modes, worshipping the Lord through one's occupational work in is true renunciation and brings freedom from reaction. And then how to come from Jnana Yoga to pure devotional service, coming to Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma state, and then working in devotional service. And then how do we surrender to the super soul and the most confidential knowledge of all, becoming a pure devotee of Lord by surrendering everything to the Supreme Lord, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. And then what is the importance of preaching and studying the Bhagavad Gita? And Arjuna's firmly fixed, and then Sanjaya's prediction. So these are like the different sections in this chapter, which are very wonderfully described by the Lord, and we'll be discussing more ahead on this aspect. So last time when we covered up to section B. Oh, sorry, I stopped. We covered up to the 18th chapter, 18th verse, and from there, if you go the 19th verse onwards till 40th verse, the different modes of material nature, the different modes of material nature, how different activities are there that are described. So, uh, one who works according to the five factors as it was decided in the 15th verse, Daivam, the super soul, the Karta, the doer, and the chesta, the endeavor of or efforts, and karana, sense of instruments of by which we do perform an activity, and the place of worship, the place or the action where we perform. So depending on these five things, how a person gets is establishing his activity is described here from the 19th verse. So they are like, you know, from this section we can really understand from in this section, especially 19 to 40, how the three modes are acting and what what is how is the knowledge described in these three modes? What are the actions a person does in the three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance? How one performs his actions, that is described in the next in this section. And what is one understanding about the material nature, about the different things what he's doing, that is described. And what is his determination to do any activity, what is required is determination, and that is described. And the happiness what he receives, that is very nicely described. So all these things is karma. This is karma yoga which is getting karma which is which a person is doing in different types of modes. It's been very nicely presented here by Krishna in this section. So if we go to the verse, one second, I'll just share you the verse. It's number सर्वभूतेषु यानिकं भावन अव्यम ईक्षिता अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विधिं सात्विकम्. That knowledge by which one is undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities. Though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. So Krishna here is describing about the different type of knowledge what a person what a person oh sorry wait a minute. Hmm. Krishna is describing here about the different knowledge what a person is seeing. The knowledge by which the undivided spiritual nature is seen in all the living entities. He is having equal vision of seeing everyone as a spirit soul, even though the bodies are different, but the spirit soul is the same, which is there in every living entity, and the spirit soul is imperishable, although the bodies are perishable. So, and sees the difference in terms of bodily identity, but on the material condition. So, this is the knowledge in mode of goodness. And then, if you come to the knowledge of passion, the knowledge of passion by which one sees in every different body there is different living entity. So, he has a different understanding. And here, the concept that the material body is the living entity, and with the destruction of the body consciousness is also destroyed. So for him the knowledge that the body is overall all in all, and if the body is dead, everything is dead, and there is no consciousness after that. And he sees that the different types of bodies what they say are because of the development of different consciousness what a living entity has. But here the person doesn't have the proper understanding that the the soul is residing in the body, and there is no separate soul. Body itself is the soul for him. This is the consideration. This is the knowledge what a person has um, um, in mode of passion. And the consciousness is very temporary. He just thinks that consciousness keeps growing, evolving, and it's just changing. So for here we can tell that the person is like who accepts the Darwin theory. He's in this mode of passion. He doesn't understand what is proper understanding of this body and the other bodies what are there. So, and in the next verse, knowledge in ignorance, that knowledge by which one is attached to one type of work as all in all, without knowledge of truth, and what is very meager. Knowledge of, he doesn't have the common sense also. He's just looking for, he's just, his knowledge is limited to the body, because he has not developed any spiritual understanding or any spiritual injunctions. For him, God is money. That's it. Whoever is giving money, that is knowledge for him. And knowledge implies satisfaction of bodily demands. That's what. In mode of ignorance, one is just thinking कि मेरे पेट पूजा के लिए कितना मिलता है, बस वही भगवान है मेरे लिए. If someone is giving me my bread and butter, that's it. He is my Lord. There is no link of knowledge to thinking of what is soul, what is, and a lot of people actually they have this consideration only. Their knowledge is in mode of ignorance only. Whoever is giving me, whoever is feeding me, the feeding hand is the God for them, and they are like they have knowledge very considerable, just like animals only. And if we come to the next section, that is action in mode of goodness, action in mode of passion, and action is mode of uh, um, ignorance. So, action in mode of goodness is always regulated by the Shastras without fruitive desire. There is no desire for the actions what a person is considering. and he is performing all the actions without without attachment, and with he's performing all the activities what are there is without any attachment and without any love or hatred towards any person. So he's performing actions in that way. So Srila Prabhupada tells that if a person is able to perform in this purport very nicely, that if a person is able to perform activities in mode of goodness, he is more closely to become, he equates actually that it's more closely to become Krishna conscious. So we cannot tell that he will become Krishna conscious, but he more closely because he is regulated by Shastras and he doesn't have any desire for fruitive results, and either he is attached for anything and is performing his active actions in with love and hatred. If you go to the verse, it will be very nice. 1 second, let just go to the verse. Yeah. Nityam Sangam Rahitam ag, ag, Agrava Devasta Ritam Apalam par Parsanu Karmam Yattat Satvikam Uchyate. The action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without the desire for fruitive results is said to be in mode of goodness. So Prabhupada is telling here, regulated occupational duties as prescribed in the scriptures in terms of different orders and divisions of society performed without attachment or proprietorship rights, and therefore without any love or hatred, and are performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme without the self satisfaction or self gratification, are called to be actions in the mode of goodness. So a person sometimes when he is performing these activities, he can perform it in the mode of goodness. And if you go to the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, but action performed with great efforts, lot of efforts are put, prayas is so much that he is, he just wants to gratify or fulfill his desires, and he is enacted with the sense of false proprietorship. False ego is a big ego for him, and such persons are considered to be in mode of ignorance, more mode of passion. And you just consider what is the actions performed in mode of ignorance. Ignorance, the actions performed in illusion, in disregard of the scriptures, without any concern for future bondage or the violence, or for violence or distress caused to others, is considered to be mode of ignorance. He's performing, the actions are always in illusion. He doesn't regard any scriptural injunction. Whatever comes to his mind, or if he is hears someone, he just follows without any question or any reasoning, and without any concern for the bondage, whether that action is binding him or not binding him, or whatever is happening, or if there is any violence committed by that act. And if I'm committing any violence, if any distress is happening to any other person or not, he never consider all these acts. He's just concerned about his activity, and that activity he wants to do, his action he want to do, that action is said to be in mode of ignorance. We find this type of people a lot, people who want to commit violence without consideration of any consequences, without any consideration of what is happening in this world. It's just like people most of the time act in mode of ignorance and mode of passion. Okay, so then now what is happening ahead is yeah, like killing of animals. He's not considering anything about how to kill animal. He just performs his activities without any concern what is happening by killing an animal. Is he getting binded by those activities without any violence? He never considered whether this is violence or not violence. So like this, he's performing activities. And then workers in mode of goodness. A person, he performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature and without false ego. And with great determination and enthusiasm, a person is working very hard in mode of goodness and without wavering in success or failure. Even if there is success or if there is failure, he still continues his activities. So that worker is considered to be in the mode of goodness. And a person who is working in the mode of passion, this is like the karta. The worker is karta, and action is karma. The karma what he's doing. So the karta, he's very much attached to the fruits of the work. What I'm getting out of this. If anything I'm doing, what is it that I'm getting? The desire to enjoy all these fruits are very much. And who is very greedy, he's always greedy, looking for his own increasing of bank balance, increasing of what he's getting. Anything is free, he wants to get that thing, or he's very 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 greedy. He's just looking for any opportunity where he can just utilize this thing, and he's always envious, impure, and is moved by joy and sorrows. you know if he's happy, then he makes others happy. If he's sorrow, he'll be like so distressed. He'll be so much into suffering that he'll make others' life also very distressful. So too much attached to a certain kind of work. People are like very very attached sometimes, and because of that thing, too much they are into materialism. Like there is like just increasing their bank balance, nice home, nice family. Their whole goal is to earn a livelihood by which they can live a very peaceful life. A very peaceful life in the sense, like a very accomplished life, and they has no desire for higher elevation in this life. They never consider what is happening ahead. It's like what is going to happen after death. No consideration what is happening to the soul, what is happening to the body, what is the nature, what is the nature of the Lord. All these questions, they never come in the mode of passion. And then worker who is in the mode of ignorance, he works against the injunction of the scriptures. He is totally opposite of person in mode of goodness and mode of ignorance. Mode of ignorance, he will go against the scriptures. Whatever scriptures are telling, he wants to go against that thing. He's very very materialistic. He's very obstinate, stubborn person. Like ढेटे, बोलते हैं ना, in Hindi we use this word, बहुत ढेटा है आप, ऐसा बोलते हैं. So he's like that, very very stubborn. Sometimes we come across some persons actually fighting for small small things. In a train, I've seen people, are very very stubborn at, to not give little space to some people who are like, traveling for some time. Though they are also going to get down after some time. But the seat is there. They want to keep their bag rather than allowing a person to sit. Very, very obstinate, very stubborn. And they have a cheating tendency, very strong cheating tendency. And they're expert in insulting others. They're like very, speaking sarcastic words, and sarcasm, or criticizing, finding fault. These are very very common actually. So if a person is acting, if a worker is acting, if a person is doing this stuff, he is considered to be in mode of ignorance. And then he's very lazy. you know Once if he is not in the mood of doing anything, then no one can actually motivate him to do that activity. And he's always morose and always procrastinating things, just delaying. I don't want to do it now. I just want to do it tomorrow, 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 and that tomorrow never comes. That tomorrow also dies, and he also dies. So anything which is there, he just wants to drag on for hours, hours to minutes, minutes to hours, hours to days, days to weeks, weeks to months, months to year, and sometimes they keep just dragging. So this is a person in mode of ignorance, worker who is working, doing activities in mode of ignorance. So Krishna is telling now about the understanding wo- and determination in this next section from verse number 29 to 33, 34. He's telling about what is the understanding and determination in mode of goodness. In verse number 30, he is telling one who knows what uh, ought to be done and what ought not to be done, and what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. what is binding and what is liberating. He performs action in terms of scriptural directions. Is called uh, is called a person who is working in the um, mode of goodness. His understanding is in the mode of goodness, and then not doing actions which leads to entanglement. So he's very, very clear what he's doing, very particular about his activities. He goes by the scriptural injunction, what is there prescribed in the scriptures. He just wants to regulate his life according to the lifestyle given in the scriptures, leads his life in a very sattvic, very proper way. And if that understanding is there, he is considered to be in the mode of goodness. And if that understanding is not there, then he is considered in to be in the mode of good passion. Mode of passion, the understanding is he cannot distinguish between what is religion and what is irreligion, what is action and what between what action should be done and what action should not be done. Sometimes people are confused, very, very confused about what their action should be there or what their action should not be there. We see it in our family also sometimes. Those who are growing, they sometimes are very confused about their activities or their understanding or what they should be doing. It's very, very difficult for sometimes for the people to understand what their activities or what their understandings are.
अभी अभी लगाइए अभी लगाइए
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, and the understanding in ignorance. They consider irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion. So this is like complete opposite understanding. Their understanding is, what is given in the scriptures is not considered to be religion only, and they consider irreligion to be religious, very religious. And sometimes their example, we can understand what is their understanding. They have an understanding of a great man, a great devotee, or a great person. They consider to be a common person, and they make a common person to be a great person. They want that the truth to be untruth and untruth to be truth. So, and they are under the spell of ignorance, they are under the spell of darkness, and they always go in the opposite direction. Just consider, like killing another person is not considered to be religious at all. But, sometimes they have this mentality. Those who become terrorists, they want to go out and harm a lot of people. So, their understanding is they are performing a very religious act by, blowing themselves off or, by, blowing other people off. They think they are going to get into heaven, but that is considered to be complete irreligious activity. And they consider, just someone who is speaking or convincing them, they consider to him to be a great person. But they don't understand how that person is a common person actually, or a person who is cheating. And they're just carried away actually by this aspect. And what is a determination in mode of goodness? Determination is unshakable, unbreakable. Their determination is steadfastness by yoga practice. They are controlled the activities of mind, life, and senses. They are like avyavad. This they have the sense of controlling the mind, controlling the senses, and they engage their mind and senses very nicely in Krishna service. So these persons, their determination is very strong because they have a strong engagement in Krishna consciousness, or they engage themselves in Krishna conscious activities more and more. One who is in more his determination in mode of passion is one who holds, whenever there is some result, he's doing any activity just for dharma, artha, kama, moksha. He's just doing for some dharma, for religion, or for economic development, or for sense gratification. So he holds on to the fruitive activities or fruitive results till the time he is always getting this result. And mode of ignorance, he is always lamenting. He's always morose, he's illusion, he's dreaming, he's fearful, and his determination just we cannot understand. Sometimes he is very cheerful, but sometimes he is very, very dull. So his determination is also wavering like anything. Lamentation is there, moroseness is there, illusion is there. And then Krishna is telling from the verse 36 to 39 about what is the happiness in different modes. You know, how to get relief from such entanglement is only when a conditioned soul awakens his real Krishna consciousness. And how do we awaken? Is by association of saintly people. So he's telling mode of happiness, happiness in mode of goodness is, it is like poison in the beginning, but nectar in the end. So they follow many rules and regulations, but then uh, they follow many rules and regulations uh, to control the senses, and which appear to be little bitter, but at the end, success is guaranteed. Success is they get the transcendental realization, and when they get that transcendental realization, so they understand what is the right understanding for them, and that awakens the nice realizations in them. So this is the happiness what a person gets in mode of goodness. Just go to that verse. That verse is nice verse. Verse number 27. Yeah. Yattad agra visham iva parinam mritopranam tad sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. That which is in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end it's just like nectar. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing it. That which is in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization is said to be in the mode of goodness. So a person who tastes this thing, it's like considered to be real nectar. He's drinking the nectar. Why? Because in the starting, it's very difficult to control the mind, to control the Krishna conscious activity, to perform Krishna conscious activities. People are questioning, and still we are going against their will, giving up tea and coffee, not eating onion, garlic. People consider, what is this? What you're doing? Though it's poison initially, hearing different people's, what do you call, uh, criticisms, or, um, words, that they are just judging you for small activities. But then if you keep doing this thing over a period of time, what happens? That becomes like a nectar, actually, nectar in the end, because you awaken very nice consciousness by practicing this activities of controlling your mind, controlling the senses, and not doing for the other people to judge, but you're doing for yourself. So this is happiness what one gets in mode of goodness. So, what is mode of passion happiness? That happiness which is derived from the contact of senses with their objects, and which appear like nectar at the first, but poison at the end. Why it is nectar at the first? Because you get happiness. You are directly perceiving your senses. You're gratifying your senses. Like a person, young boy and the young girl, Prabhupada rightly saying, when they meet, they derive great amount of pleasure actually by the touch, by the and then they have, like, small, everything starts with touch and they end up with in sexual intercourse. And in the beginning, it's very pleasing, but at the end, it's very difficult actually. Sometimes they are separated. They are separated, or there is a divorce. There is lamentation. There is sorrow, and there is intense pain in the emotions. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion, and happiness derived from this combination of senses and sense object is the cause of distress, which cannot be avoided. Prabhupada is writing very strong, small purport, but very strong purport. How we can see, it's very important that for a person to not be carried away with this uh, passionate mode, just to give pleasure to the senses. It appears to be very nectarian, but then it's definitely going to perceive a lot of poison at the end. It will become very poisonous, and it's and then the person in mode of ignorance, and the happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from the beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, illusion, is said to be in the mode of in the nature of happiness. So any happiness which a person derives, just sleeping, and he feels he's so happy just sleeping, or he's acting so lazily, being illusioned, बोले बाहर दुनिया में जो भी चल रहा है चलने दो, I am in my life, that's it. And he's not at all bothered about what he's doing also. Neither he is doing according to any scripture understanding, nothing like that. And the happiness what he derives is like he feels that is the biggest happiness, but it's more or less it's uh, illusion, actually delusion. He's in delusion, wasting his time, energy, not utilizing his time properly. So these are like happiness in different modes. So here Krishna is telling about the different modes. And now if we see what Krishna is telling ahead is very wonderful. He's telling about uh, how to get rid. No one either here or on the earth can get freed from the influence of these modes. So how one can get, I can share this thing. This is very beautiful. Just to give the analysis of what we are reading. So these are the different modes of material nature comparative study. You are able to see, yeah, general characteristics of ignorant person, the person in ignorance, passion and goodness and pure goodness. Very beautiful summary has been made. I have a small PPT, so I'm just getting that thing from here. So person is foolish, madness, illusion, inertia, indolence and sleep, unlimited, uncontrolled desires, longing, intense endeavor, greed, bondage to material fruitive activities and attachment to the fruitive actions, relative purity, illumination, happiness, and freedom from sinful activities, conducive to real knowledge. And pure goodness is this has been separate thing which we haven't discussed. Krishna is discussing about ignorance, passion, and goodness, but here pure goodness is coming, and everything is connected to the Supreme Lord. So then it becomes like pure goodness. It's complete, unmotivated, unfailing devotion to the Supreme Lord, absolute knowledge, purity, illumination, happiness, and freedom from sinful reactions. So a person, what happens, the destination of a person who dies in mode of ignorance, passion, goodness, objects of worship in mode of ignorance is ghosts and spirit, demons, passionate person does worship of powerful men, or he himself proclaim himself to be the Supreme Lord sometimes, or imitation Lord. And the mode of goodness, demigods and the impersonal conception. But whereas pure goodness, he is worshipping the Supreme Lord. He has proper understanding who is the Supreme Lord, how to worship him, and everything is very, very clear for him. And the food, what is there. This is from actually the this different chapter mode, the three modes of nature, that chapter. But more or less, it's very, very relevant for this topic since the different modes we are discussing. And here is that this is like the comparison between that chapter, and if we consider to be this chapter, what are the activities in renunciation, knowledge, action, and workers in this chapter, and understanding, determination, and happiness. So these are very beautifully explained in this small two slides comparatively. So this is what we were discussing just now about the happiness, understanding, and determination in different modes, and how a devotee can overcome all these sections. Okay, now there is this very beautiful chapter of Sankhya Yoga to Karma Yoga. Sankhya Yoga to. One second. Now there is this Sankhya Karma to Nishkama Karma Yoga. So this section is coming 41 to 48. We'll go very fastly now since there is less time, and we'll be able to do it. Hopefully, we'll be able to complete this chapter. So all work is controlled by the modes. Yet one can become free from the reactions. How? Of work by acting as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. So in Nishkama Karma Yoga, while worshipping the Lord through that work. That work, even if faultily done, is better than accepting another's occupation. So this is the summary of this section. And the prescribed duties are never affected by sinful reactions. So here it's very beautifully explained about the different Varnas, especially the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and how they're distinguished by different qualities. How a Brahmana is distinguished, how a Kshatriya is distinguished by his qualities, Shudra and Vaishya. So all these qualities are born by one's own nature in accordance with the work, material work, what is taking place. So a Brahmana's quality. These are very beautiful. So Cham, we'll go to the verse. That verse is very nice. समो दमो तपश्चो सोचम शांतिर अर्जमम एवचा ज्ञानम विज्ञानम आस्तिकम ब्रह्म कर्म स्वभावजम. Peacefulness. What are the qualities of a Brahmana? A Brahmana is very peaceful. He is self-controlled. He is performing austerities. He has purity of thought, purity of heart, tolerance. He's very honest. He's knowledgeable. He has wisdom, and he's very very religious. So when a person is exhibiting these qualities, he is considered to be a Brahmana. Naturally, a person who is acting in this activities is considered to be a Brahmana. And who is a Kshatriya now? Kshatriya is Shauryam, Tejo, Dhrita, Dakhyam, Yuddha cha apalayam, Danam Ishvara Bhavascha, Shatram Karma Sabhavajam. Heroism, he is always Shauryam, he shows his heroic activities or, tells his activities. He exhibits his power of his physical body, power of mind, power of speech. He uses that thing. So that is very natural for a person. And he's very, very, he has strong determination. Sometimes people are, very strong in determination. Drita, his determination is very strong. Very resourceful also. He's a person who is very resourceful. Sometimes we have other things, but he's not resourceful, then his heroism and other things don't work. And he's very courageous in the battle, very, very courageous, and then very generous. Dhanam is like, uh, he's very generous in giving charity and other things. And a leader, an Ishvara Bhav is there. And leadership, like natural qualities are there in Kshatriya. So this is like very nice thing. And then what about um, Vaishya and Shudra? Uh, Krishi Go Raksha Vanijyam, Vaishya Karma Sabhavajam, Parichatmakam Karmam, Shudra Api Sabhavam Cha. Farming, cow protection, and business are natural work for a Vaishya. So these are three. Farming, if some person is doing farming, cow protection, and business, that is very natural. Business, nowadays we have a lot of business which people take up and start doing. They consider themselves to be like the administrators, but they are Vaishyas actually. They are more into money making thing. People's mind is running with making money, money. Yeah, that is very natural for a Vaishya to always think of money. Kshatriyas also think, but they are more into heroism and other activities. But then Vaishyas are like into money making things. And Shudras are like labor and they are only into service. So people most of the time consider themselves to be service mode and just providing service. So these are the qualities of a Shudra and how to achieve perfection. Anyone can become perfect by following these duties of his activities. Krishna is indicating Arjuna that if he fights, then he can achieve perfection. And then Sakarma tam abhicharena siddhi vinanti manava. One can attain perfection by doing all the duties of his prescribed varna for the Lord's pleasure. It's very important. Nishkama Karma Yoga is how one works along within the mold of material nature, can be practically turned into bhakti yoga just by Nishkama Karma Yoga is by, doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. Whatever activity he is doing, if he is not able to do it for the pleasure of the Lord, then it's not possible that he will be able to perform Nishkama Karma. Then it becomes Sakama Karma Yoga. He's just doing for his own thing, for his own personal need. But Nishkama Karma Yoga, he's doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. Even a grahastha working outside, a wife working as a teacher or in business or in offices, if they're doing it for the pleasure of the Lord, thought process is that they should do anything what they are doing is for the pleasure of the Lord. Then it becomes Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Prabhupada writes very beautifully about this thing, performing actions for the pleasure, for Lord's pleasure. Firstly, he writes about that this is in the discussion of this 46th verse. He tells about the position of the Supreme Lord, and then what is the result of knowing the Lord as the source. Because by worshipping him leads to the supreme energy. And how does a Vaishnava act? Vaishnavas act like internally he worships the Lord, especially with his internal energy. He wants to worship the Lord, and he doesn't just want to worship the Supreme Lord based on superficial understanding. Whereas, but he wants to worship the Lord with proper understanding. So, and he understands the real position of the Supreme Lord, knowing that the Supreme Lord Himself takes charge of delivering all the devotees. You know, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. He's telling that Krishna will fulfill all the desires of the devotees and will protect the devotees. So this understanding is very, very clear for him. And then if we perform this actions for the pleasure of the Lord, what will happen? Lord Krishna's advice that better to engage in one's own occupation. Krishna is telling in 47th verse. Then even though imperfectly done, then to accept another occupation and perform it imperfectly. And what is the result if you just keep doing like this, even though you are imperfectly doing it, duties prescribed will not ever affect you actually. The duties prescribed according to one's own nature are never affected by sinful reaction. Why? Because you're doing it, uh, not indulging in others' occupational duty. And this is actually based in in the different modes. This is based on the different modes actually. What is the um, basis of prescribing occupational duties according to different varnas? According to the different modes and different activities, different varnas, how a person is acting, it depends actually on how a, a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Shudra, how a person is acting. Abominable nature is considered to be contamination due to different modes of activities, modes of nature. Even though a person is in different varnas, but how is he acting in different modes, different his activities, also his prescribed duties, how is he performing in different modes? You know, accordingly he will be getting the reaction. But if one is able to perform his activities or able to perform his duties in for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, then he is able to overcome this Nishkama Karma Yoga. I mean, he is able to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga rather than just getting accustomed to performing Sakama Karma Yoga. So Krishna is advising ahead actually that sticking to one's occupational duty at any cost. Krishna advises that one should not, even if the duty, even if the occupational duty is sometimes very, very difficult, or even if it is defective, but still a person who is sticking to his own occupational duty, at any cost, even though one appears, sometimes it takes very challenging. Krishna gives this analogy. Prabhupada writes this thing in the purport about every endeavor is covered by some fault. Just like fire is always there, then there is some smoke. Smoke, that doesn't mean that the fire is impure. So there is some smoke, that means fire is also there. There is some pure thing. And Prabhupada writes that in winter, when one takes a stone from the fire, sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes, but still one makes use of the fire anyway. Prabhupada is writing very beautifully that the fire's duty is that there is fire, but at the same time there will be some smoke. So therefore, even though there is some defectiveness, you don't give up that fire, because in winter you need fire. You need to be warm. You need some warmth. So that is very, very important. So one is determined in his occupation to serve the Lord. He's not determined that he don't doesn't want to serve the Lord. And how can he becomes realized actually? How can he become realized, fully realized? Is by giving up the result of the work and with a purified heart when they are connected with devotional service. So when he's performing his activities not attached to the result, and he's doing it with a with a purified heart, with the consciousness that it's very, very purifying. And then one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and he and that is what gives a very beautiful understanding or realization to him. So this is about coming from sakama karma to nishkama karma, how to perform activities for the pleasure of the Lord, even though the activities might be difficult, might look very, he should not be giving up his own activities. So the next section is nishkama karma yoga through liberation. So how does that happen? This is confidential knowledge from reaction from free from work through uh, jnana yoga to the Brahma Bhuta platform. And how does that happen? We'll be just seeing that section now. So once practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, detachment, detached work, and attains goodness, and that knowledge is not his body. He finally attains the Brahma Bhuta platform by serving Krishna on this platform without deviation, without without getting deviated, and with complete devotion, he reaches the kingdom of God. So Prabhupada writes very beautifully about this thing in the 49th purport also. What about a person acting in Krishna consciousness? So a Krishna conscious person is a jnana. This is like the jnana. This is from karma yoga to jnana yoga. This section is basically how a person is acting from karma yoga to jnana yoga. So one who is self-controlled and who is completely unattached can engage in jnana yoga, and is practicing renunciation. At the same time, his result is one can attain highest perfectional stage of freedom from reactions. And how does that happen? A Krishna conscious person is a real sannyasi. Why? Because he's renouncing. He's renouncing means he's considering everyone to be part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore he has no right to enjoy the results of any other person or any other activities. Rather than he performs all his activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So his consideration is very strong that he wants to just perform activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And so, and how does he go ahead in this direction is the Lord. How can one attain Brahma platform, Brahman platform? Here, Brahman platform is a supreme perfectional stage. And how does that attain? In this section from verse number 51 to 53, Lord Krishna is now summarizing how one can achieve the supreme perfection. Supreme perfection is achieved by controlling the mind with great amount of determination. This is Brahma Bhuta platform and peacefulness. So how he is purified by the intelligence, he gives up sense objects, he is freed from all the attachment and hatred, and is living in a secluded place, eats little and controls his body and mind and speech very nicely. And his freedom from all the bad qualities born of material conception. And he's always in trance and detached, and thus he achieves supreme perfection. So he comes to this analogy, this understanding. So this is the same thing what Krishna has told in Sthita Pragya section also, where how a person acts actually, how a person walks, how a person, eats. So he's all these things is the stage of what Krishna speaks in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita in the Sthita Pragya. He's just replicating here how a person can come to the Brahma Bhuta platform by controlling the mind, controlling the senses, purified intelligence, and how he can come to this section is, by very strong practice of determination. So, uh, next is the very important words we'll recite together. One second. Just come to that verse. Everyone might be knowing this verse, they might have heard many times, but we'll recite this verse. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma
ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति
न
ब्रह्म
संशति न कांक्षति
न शोचति
समे
न
सर्वे
कांक्षति
कांक्षति समे सर्वेषु भूतेषु
सर्वेषु
मद भक्ति लभते परम.
मद्भक्तिं लभते परम्.
Someone wants to read?
You mean recite the verse, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brahma Bhuta
ब्रह्मभूतः
Prasanna.
प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते परम्. परम्.
ब्रह्मभूतः परम्.
Yeah, please recite one more devotee. Hare Krishna. One more devotee wants to recite.
Go ahead, Mataji.
I think she's unmute. No, she's not reciting. Okay, we'll read the translate. Yeah, please recite. Please recite.
ब्रह्मभूतः परमात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते परम्.
Yes, thank you very much. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So Krishna is telling how a person can attain this Brahma Bhuta state. Very, very beautiful. You know, I will just read the translation also of the previous one. Being purified by the intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, what it takes to come to the Brahma Bhuta platform is here. Giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in secluded place, one who eats little, one who controls his body, mind and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from the false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. So Prabhupada writes very beautifully about what it takes to come to this Brahmabhuta Prasanatma stage. It's not easy thing, it's very, very challenging, but if one does, one will be able to overcome um, overcome this, come to this stage of Brahmabhuta stage. So Brahmabhuta Prasannatma is fully joyful, no songshati na kankshati, never laments or desires anything. And sama sarveshu bhuteshu, he is equally disposed towards all living entities. And that's why he has this very compassionate nature towards everyone. Why? Because he equally disposed. And then mad bhaktim labate param, then one attains pure devotional service unto the Supreme Lord because of this thing. So why is he joyful? Because he sees every living entity as as the servant of the Lord. He sees himself to be servant of the Lord, and every living entity to be the part and parcel. So he's very, very joyful in one way. And he is joyful because he is always engaged in the service of the Lord. He's just like Prabhupada writes in the purport about how a river is cleansed of all dirty water. Why? Because his thoughts are very, very pure. The river's thoughts are like Krishna's. A person who is always thinking of Krishna, his thoughts are very, very pure. If any negative thoughts also come, they go away because it's like dirty water coming and entering into the river. But then the river just cleanses the water. The water gets cleansed because the thoughts of Krishna is very, very strong. So he never laments or desires and is equally disposed towards all the living entities. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatan Goswami, we can see how they are at this stage of Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma stage. How one can achieve is just by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's not easy, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it very easy because he has given us the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And just by giving this chanting, it's very, very easy for us to perform this pure devotional service, coming to this platform of pure bhakti. So, and who can enter the abode of the Supreme Lord without the mercy of the Supreme Lord? And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very merciful in one way, just opening the gates of the spiritual world for all the living entities. Just what is he asking? He's simply asking us to chant the holy name of the Lord very faithfully, very with pure heart, and not to criticize anyone. And that's it. If we do just these two things, he's ready to take us home back to Godhead. And he's just opening the gates for everyone. So in verse number 55, pure bhakti yoga is also the only way. And if one understands the Supreme Lord, through bhakti, only by practicing pure devotional service, one who is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord can enter the kingdom of the God. So, it, so if you go ahead in the next section, 56 to 60, working in pure devotional service. How one acts. Now we are coming to the platform of Brahma Bhuta Prasanna. Now, how a person acts in pure devotional service, is very nicely explained here. He is fully depending on the Supreme Lord, and he is fully conscious of the Supreme Lord. And one who thus being in that conscious of the Supreme Lord always, he gets freed from the modes of material nature because he's taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So there is this Lord's protection is there, is been guaranteed. The perfection of this, how the Lord protects his devotee from all the reactions and leads him directly to the stage of uh, stage of pure devotional service. So the Lord gives engage, through the though a pure devotee is always engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, so the Lord gives him complete protection. And how the Lord protects is by his own internal potency, he protects the devotees. And because he is always engaged in pure devotional service, for him it becomes very easy to go back home, back to Godhead. So what is he doing? 24 hours he is engaged in Lord's service. A devotee means he is engaged. There is no time. Avyakta kalatvam, he is not wasting a single moment actually. And he is always under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Mad Vyasa Parashanam, is always under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Means he is directly under some representative of the Supreme Lord. He is always protected. And the mood of the devotee is in all activities, whatever he is doing, he is just wants to do it for the pleasure of the Lord. He wants to completely depend on the Supreme Lord. He always wants to be under the protection. Never for a single moment he wants not to be under the protection of his own efforts or his own mind or anything like that. Let's see the example of Draupadi. How Draupadi, even at that stage when you know her husband could not protect her, her grandfather, her relatives, great Bhishma, he could not protect. No one could protect. He, her, she herself was trying to protect from the hands of Dushasan. But then finally, what was the mood? The mood was that let me depend on the Supreme Lord. Let me cry out to Krishna. And by completely crying out to Krishna and completely depending on the Supreme Lord, there was complete protection which was provided by the Supreme Lord. When a person depends completely in this regard, in such miserable situations also, Krishna gives very strong protection. Srila Prabhupada, when he was coming in Jaldut, Now, what was his condition? Suffering two heart attacks at that age, who could hardly live actually. It's very difficult a person surviving. Nowadays, the age of 25, 30, persons are dying because of heart failure, heart attacks. Person at the age of 69, traveling in Jaldu, there is no medical treatment, no medical facility, nothing. Is there in Jaldu, the ship is going up and down. There is always seasickness, he's vomiting, you know, everything like that. His body is not at all cooperating. During that time, he's still taking risk just to please his spiritual master, and so much dependence on the Supreme Lord. He just was dependent. Oh Lord, if you want to protect me, it's in your hand. If you protect me, I can do some service to you. If not, I am ready to come back to you. That was his dependency. And then Krishna protected him. And then eventually he tested him more and more, more and more. And when he passed all the tests, then success was given. First, the test was by not giving anything, and then the test was by giving everything. And in those situations, how did Srila Prabhupada acted? When success was there, he acted still in the same way, and when success was not there, still he was the same person. So, total dependency on the Supreme Lord, he exhibited that. When a devotee has that, then he is always in the mode of serving. He is in the mode of servant, you know, serving the Supreme Lord 24 by 24 hours. And if one becomes conscious of me, Krishna is telling, then all the obstacles which are there will be overcome. We see the example of Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev was lying on the arrows, and he was always thinking how I'll be able to please Krishna, how I'll be able to serve the Pandavas. You know, Even in that miserable situation, he was always conscious of Krishna. He was waiting for to take darshan of Krishna before dying. So Krishna consciousness is free from all the anxieties actually. And Krishna conscious person is liberated and is free to act. So acting under Krishna or acting under illusion. So here Krishna in the text 59, he's telling how Arjuna is a Kshatriya and his duty is to fight. And even if he avoids to fight, the more will force him to fight. So better he's giving him. If you do not act according to what I'm telling, then you will and not fight. Then what will happen? You will be falsely directed by your nature. Even though your nature is, he's considering to give up the war and be like a renunciate, but he cannot do it because his nature is to fight. So unhesitantly, Supreme Lord, the Lord is telling him that if you don't fight, then you'll be forced to fight because of your nature. So acting under Krishna or acting under illusion of Krishna. Illusion. So which one you want to choose? You choose Krishna or you want to choose illusion? So acting under Krishna is just follow what I am telling. Follow my orders and you will be very safe. If you don't follow, then it will be very, very tough. So स्वभाव ज्ञान कौन्तेय निबंध सेव कर्मणः क्षत्रम निशानियन मोहत शरीयस्य अवस आपि तत्. Under illusion, you are now delineating to act according to my nature. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same. O Kunti, O son of Kunti, Krishna is telling. And then Krishna is telling in the next section about the more confidential knowledge of surrendering to the super soul. We'll go a little faster now. It's like little time, and we'll come to this section. The Supreme Lord is the master and director, and he's in everyone's heart. He's directing everyone. He's directing all the living entities who are wandering. And what is Arjuna's limitation? Arjuna's limitation is here it's like, the super soul is there, but how to, the super soul is controlling the illusions and rotating everyone to the different cycles of birth, death, old age in this Brahma, in this cycle of birth and death, in this wheel of samsara, in the samsara chakra, everyone is caught up, and how they are like everyone is just acting under the illusion considering themselves to be the doer. And Prabhupada writes how just by surrendering unto him utterly, the Supreme Lord and the Master, he is asking, therefore, to surrender to him utterly. And just by surrendering, you will be saved. You will be saved. Param Padam specifically refers to that, you will be attained the Supreme Lord. And then ahead, actually, Krishna is telling about the section from 64 to 66, how that is the most confidential knowledge of this chapter, how summarizing the Bhagavad Gita. Always thinking of Krishna. This verse comes again and again. This is coming like Krishna is speaking the same verse what he has spoken in the middle chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the ninth chapter. We'll go to that verse 65. 60. मन मनाभव मद भक्तो मध्याजी माम नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि सत्यम ते प्रतिजने प्रियोसि में. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. This is the same verse. He is almost repeating what he spoke in the ninth chapter. Just the last couple of words are changed, but then what he's telling is, how one can attain the Supreme Lord. And it's very important to always think of Krishna, becoming his devotee, worshipping him, offering homage unto him. And if one does this, then it's very easy that, he can come to the next stage. That is the ultimate verse, confidential verse, or the highest teaching of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja, Aham Tam Sarva Bhaktyebhyo, Moksha Ishami Mam Sucha. So one can come and completely abandoning all varieties of religion and just surrendering unto me. And then Krishna is ready to deliver all everyone who is surrendering from all the sinful reactions. And then asking that please don't fear from this thing. So this is like the most confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, which has been spoken here. And we'll come to this conclusion by immediately going, this is Guhyatamam, the most confidential knowledge. Guhyam, Guhyatara, and Guhyatamam. So Krishna is telling about the most confidential knowledge, Man Manavo Mad Bhakta, same as what he has spoken in 9.34 of Bhagavad Gita. And here Krishna is advising Arjuna what he should be doing, really be focusing on abandoning all varieties of religion and just surrendering on to him. There are very beautiful discussions on this two verses, what we can do. But then the time is not there, so I'm just rushing now because it's already 8:35. So the last section, preaching and studying the Gita, one who explains the knowledge of Gita to others. He takes that austerity, and teaches this knowledge. He just learns himself and then teaches this knowledge even to the non-envious people around. For him, pure devotion service is guaranteed. So Krishna is just giving the benefit of what happens, this knowledge, but he's giving a caution whom this knowledge should not be given. Do not teach the Bhagavad Gita one who is not austere or not devoted to Krishna's service or one who is envious of Krishna. This knowledge won't be useful to a person who is envious of Krishna. And then Krishna tells, no, uh, no one is more dearer to me than one who is preaching this knowledge. We'll go to that verse also and then quickly come to the last. न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन् मे प्रियकृतं भवन्ति न च मे तस्मात् अनया प्रियोतरो मे. There is no servant, there is no one, no servant in this world more dear to me than he, not they shall be. Oh no, not this one. There is one verse. Yeah, in that verse only Krishna is telling how one is very, very dear to him when he's preaching about the Supreme Lord, when he's giving these teachings. So one who studies the sacred conversations between the Lord Arjuna and Krishna, and one who applies these teachings, he gets the benefit. And if one is giving this knowledge to others, him also the other person becomes very, very dear to the Supreme Lord. So what we should do with the knowledge of Gita, distribute the knowledge to as and perform pure devotional service by distributing it. One will go back to God. And one who studies it and worships it, then his intelligence becomes very, very strong. And hearing it with great faith, from a right source, without envy, then you can be freed from all the sinful reactions. So after hearing this, the last section is, how is Arjuna firmly fixed? After hearing Gita, Arjuna is fixed about practicing and he's declaring that I will do whatever you tell me. Now my illusion is gone, and I have regained my memory and I'm firm with my doubts. I'm ready to act. So Arjuna is telling that Arjuna, here is representing all the living entities and is telling he's coming to the understanding what is his constitutional position as a living entity, how he is coming out of the bondage of material nature, and what is the constitutional nature of the living entity and the services. And then what was the illusion? The lust, desire, and anger and envy, what all were binding him. He's giving up everything and is voluntarily surrendering to the Supreme Lord. And he's playing and he's coming out of his moha. And then Sanjaya's prediction is the last section where Sanjaya predicts wherever Krishna is there, Tatra Yogeshwara Krishna. What is this? This verse is also very nice. We'll just say that. One second. 75th verse. Yeah, the last verse of the Gita we'll recite together and then Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruvam Nitir Matir Mamam. Someone wants to recite, please? This verse is the last verse, and we'll end with this one.
यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्री विजयो भूति पूर्वा नीतिर्मतिर्मम.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mistakes, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will be certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and mortality. This is my opinion. That is my opinion. So thus comes the conclusion of this Gita about wherever Krishna is there, there is victory, there is opulence, there is extraordinary power and mortality. So whoever is practicing Krishna consciousness, whoever has Krishna with him, all these things are automatically achieved. Because wherever Krishna is there, their opulence comes, victory comes, extraordinary power comes. So everything follows. So fortunately, we covered the complete chapter by Krishna's mercy. Thank you very much. Anyone has any comments or any questions or any corrections, they are free to do. So the most important aspect is surrendering to the Supreme Lord. And if we are able to surrender, then it becomes very, very easy. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vrajam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My Danat Pranam to you. Shubh ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much. Everybody can say 3 times Hari Bol for finishing the whole book, Prabhu's been with us. So 3 times Hari Bol to Prabhuji and our Bhagavad Gita. Hari bol.
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari bol.
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Hari Bol.
And there's always something to learn, even if one paragraph we read every day, the realization is going to be different. So, it's like how, because of that, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes on reading the books, because, and always this statement comes to me, when Prabhupada says, "You're not reading my books. I came with my books." So, that is our main sole goal in life, is we have to read Prabhupada's books. I'm saying it, I'm not on a regular basis. But yes, also Prabhuji, like towards the end of the class, you were mentioning that wherever Krishna is there, there's victory. And surprisingly, also Hanumanji, his flag was there. And that itself showed from the beginning that there's going to be victory, right? There was something about Hanumanji's flag where we know that Hanumanji is such a pure and great devotee of Lord Ram. So, that aspect of um, Ramayana also comes in here so nicely, in the Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Yes, yes. Very wonderful, actually, bringing this point of how Hanumanji is there to protect, give protection to Arjuna, doing this service in this Leela also. Wherever Lord is there, his devotees are there to serve. And Hanumanji also gives great amount of strength and protection. So if you're following, then automatically strength and opulence, everything follows. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that beautiful point.
Yes, Prabhuji, because I was just after your class, my attention was going to the Rath, which, Krishna was driving. And it's so nice that, when we say that to serve devotees is our, we should serve devotees. It helps us in a spiritual life. And why we are saying that? Because Krishna is serving. He is a chariot driver for Arjuna. So what is our position? We are just like an ant crawling on this planet. And if we also serve devotees and Prabhupada's movement, our Guru Maharaj, then, we are, our life is set. And like you mentioned about Srila Prabhupada, how he got heart attack and all that. But, Krishna had, I think it was all a part of a Leela, Krishna Leela, I will say, where, he went through so much of hardship. He could have said, "No, my heart attack is coming. I think now, my health is not good. I need to go back." Because, once you become a heart patient, then you start taking medicines and all these things you do. But Prabhupada was just going on and on and on without any cure, medicine. And how actually, sometimes through Srila Prabhupada's example, we also understand that, all these things we talk about, we are having this issue, health issue, that issue. Prabhupada went beyond boundaries and Krishna helped him. So, we have to also understand that, through his example and, things like that. But thank you so much, Prabhuji, about the, uh, the class. And also, I'm thinking that, like Duryodhan in the beginning was asking for so many things. I want the military and, like this. Similarly, people in today's world, they put their trust in everything except for Krishna. So this literature is so important because it's like uh, it's not like it's a past 5,000 thing. It is something which we are seeing in the present. When we see people, we see their psychology, we look into the world, we are literally like seeing that this is so much of a reflection from Bhagavad Gita. So thank you, Prabhuji, once again for enlightening us. And hopefully with other literatures also we'll have you on Sunday, because we'll miss your classes otherwise. But if anybody has comments for Prabhuji, please go ahead. And so, yeah, please go ahead. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Luckily, we could finish the chapter. I wasn't sure when I was seeing that we have like 40, how many? 60 verses left.
Yes.
Literally like, uh, but still by Lord's mercy. Yes, Hare Krishna, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pran. Very nice class, Prabhu, and good explanation on all these verses. I was just reading this verse 66, Sarudharman Parityajya. So when Krishna says, abandon all the religion, surrender to me. So, which is like surrender to Lord using the Bhakti Yoga process, right, Prabhuji? And
Yes.
what about like, when Krishna has spoken about like Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Sankhya Yoga, in the previous chapters. So, how a devotee can, or anybody can, like, follow those processes along with surrendering to the Lord?
See, the thing is, he has given that processes because no one will come to the process of surrendering immediately. So, by practicing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and doing Bhakti Yoga, eventually a person progressively he comes to this point of surrendering. So person directly cannot come to the point of surrendering. So there should be something in the middle for him to practice. And for that, he has given, whichever path, whichever yoga you are able to suit in, at least try to do that thing and come to this stage of ultimate stage of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So a person cannot come directly jump to the process of surrendering, sarvadharman pritijya, he cannot come. But then he needs some process. So during that time, what he will be doing, he can still practice karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. He can still do niskam karma yoga. He can still do bhakti yoga. But, if his consciousness is very pure, if he's completely surrendering, that is the best thing. But if he's not able to do, he should be able to do these other processes at least. At least these other processes. Try to act in Krishna consciousness. So if he does that, then eventually he can come to the point of surrendering completely to the Supreme Lord and take shelter of him.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Is that
So
okay,
yes,
Prabhu?
yes, you're right. Like we can surrender, and we have 1 minute surrender 100% initially, and it takes time. So while the person is doing endeavors, okay, following the karma yoga, like offering all the results of his duties to Krishna and not worrying about the result. Meanwhile, he may also learn the scriptures, which is like getting some gyan and everything. All these processes can exist simultaneously, or is there any ladder? Okay, yeah, first the person has to do some Gyan Yoga, then probably he has to go to Karma Yoga or something else, or they can coexist and still trying to endeavor for surrendering to the Lord.
See, surrendering to the Lord can take place at any place and any time. At the same time, these processes actually we cannot define which process I am practicing. Like, sometimes karma yoga means we are doing our occupational duties. At the same time, we are doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. But all time we are not doing this activity for the pleasure of the Lord. Sometimes we have our own motives to do some activities. So it becomes sakama karma yoga. Sometimes our thought process or our meditation is on the Supreme Lord or in the super soul. So there is some jnana yoga also we are practicing. Sometimes it's like combination of some processes or some what do you call combinations of different yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. But then bhakti yoga, the best part of doing bhakti yoga is anything you do when you make Krishna as the center, then all other this yogas they become like bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, they become bhakti yoga because you're putting Krishna in the center. You're doing everything with respect to Krishna. So if you do this thing, then it becomes very easy. But then if you're just doing karma yoga and at the same time going from ideally it should be from karma yoga to jnana yoga to ashtanga yoga to bhakti yoga. It should be like that. But then eventually, for by Lord's mercy, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are directly coming to bhakti yoga. We are directly jumping in the fire of Sankirtan. We are taking the shelter of holy name. We are doing any activity we are doing. We are adding Krishna to it, then that activity becomes like Bhakti Yoga. And when one person is doing Bhakti Yoga, then eventually what will happen is he will come to the point of surrendering to the Supreme Lord and he will come directly and take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Even a person who comes like on the first day, if he understands the philosophy very nicely and tells that, oh Krishna, I want to completely surrender onto him. And that's what actually what happened when Srila Prabhupada was there. All the hippies who were there, they were just thinking that, oh, here is a very wonderful personality. Let me go and surrender to him. Because Srila Prabhupada was pure, they surrendered to him. And eventually you see what had happened. Their lives became quite transformed. Krishna accepted that surrender of everyone. At least during that time, he accepted everyone's surrender. And then, there was such a great transformation in the complete world because of so many people surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So when a person is acting in different, it's not like, it goes progressively. Ideally, it should go progressively, but we don't have that much time that we can come from Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga to Hatha Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. But what we have is, we have got the lift, by which, Prabhupada has put us in the lift, and he's directly taking it to the ultimate goal of the yoga, that is bhakti yoga and surrendering. We are directly able to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So that is greatest gift what Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us, all of us, to surrender directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Or else, who in this world would have been thinking of surrendering to the Supreme Lord? No one would have, be thinking, he'll be thinking of becoming one with the Supreme Lord, or becoming, attaining moksha, or, just performing अपना कर्म करते रहो, उसमें ही पूरा जीवन चल जाता है. Just keep giving charity, or just keep doing. People are like that only in this material world. They are addicted to the pious life what they are leading, and they think that is the complete spiritual life, but that is nothing actually. That is just the starting step actually. And people think that is the ultimate goal. It's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to surrender, and Prabhupada's mercy, we are able to come to that stage. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for explaining it very clearly.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, any
Krishna.
other?
Thank you
Yes,
so
yes.
much for this excellent class and summarizing the chapter of 18, half part of that. So many verses you explained so nicely. And I hope you are feeling well. Last week
Yeah,
we
yeah.
missed you. Yes, so thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, anybody has any question or comment?
Now it,
So, otherwise, I would like to make an announcement that from next Sunday, we are going to read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrut, and Prabhuji and Vikas Prabhu and Arjun Anand Prabhu, they will summarize the chapter by chapter, and we will decide how it goes. Like, I will be reading with everybody, and then Prabhuji will explain chapter by chapter. So that will be the pattern. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I hope everybody will.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol 3 times for Lilamrit. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol, Hari
We wanted to
Bol.
read that with all the devotees. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Vancha
Krishna.
kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Antakoti Vaishnava.
Ki Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavat Gita ki
Prabhupada
jai.
ki jai.
Gopal Pran Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai
Prabhupada
Jai.
ki jai.
श्यामा रश्का माता जी की जय.
Hare Krishna. All good.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare
Ji,
Bol,
Mataji, nice
Hare
to
Bol.
see you.
Yes, we are here in Pittsburgh for the
Yeah, you look
Sangam
so
Kirtan.
fresh and wonderful. Harinam
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hari
Hare
Bol.
Bol, Hare Bol.